Wow, long time no see you. Oh, hello everyone. People from YouTube, my subscribers. How are you feeling today? People from Instagram. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be back. You know that every month I do 2 lives on YouTube. The first one, which is this one, is the yellow file session. And the yellow file session is the cherish of the cake that you need today and you will need tomorrow to boost your communications skills. And I can't not start this one saying kudos to all of us. Happy 2026. And in the meantime that I'm alive, you can count with me, because this year, if there will be a Brazilian professional that does not feel comfortable in English, you are not doing a course with me. Speaking of which, follow me on Instagram, follow me on LinkedIn, follow me on YouTube on this live. As you know, I do 2 lives, free lives on YouTube. This one is the yellow file session, and the topic today, it's super interesting. We're going to talk about job interruptions. Oh yeah, they will happen, they happen, and we will interrupt people for sure. But there are strategies that we need to take while they don't. Then we can minimize the impact of them. Also, the first live of the month happens every Tuesday of the month, 8 p.m. sharp, like it's happening today. I do lives between 15 and 20 minutes, all in English. That way you can have a hint or an idea how my course goes. You know, I do mentoring, I do speeches, I do yellow file sessions. I have my Master Business English program. Get in touch with me, or my PR, my public relations. The second live happens on the last Tuesday of the month on YouTube, all in Portuguese. We talk about topics on hand that are very handy for people that are working in the corporate world. And most of the times, all of you pick the topic as well, and I'm so excited to be here. Really, 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 really. I love transforming people's life into a better place. So let's talk about interruptions. For instance, a good example is that first I turn off the notifications on my cell phone, I turn off the intercom of my house, and I hope that nobody rings the bell. You know, these are interruptions. But one thing that it's key to understand is that you cannot get by, you cannot survive without interrupting people. As much as we want, oh, I want to be nice and I don't want to interrupt people, that will not land, that will not happen. Per day, and we have studies, we have 7 interruptions per day. Get this, again and again and again. We have 7 interruptions per day, whether we want it or not. And what really shocked me on this data is that out of the 7 interruptions, we are bombed by 275 distractions per day. Yes, 275 distractions per day. Internet, Instagram, notifications, YouTube, internal Slack, WhatsApp, Messenger, email, TV, distractions. And these can lead to a high cortisol level of stress. Now, it's the moment that we need to silence the interactions and the distractions too. Because if you don't silence the distractions, you are going to experience high levels of cortisol in your brain, and therefore it will be a day it will explode, and we don't want that to happen. So we have 7 distractions, 7 interruptions per hour, 275 distractions per day, including the internet. So we need to be highly educated and aim to not to have distraction. Minimize the size of the distractions. And guess what? 85% of the interruptions at work, they are really useless. Yes. 85% of the interruptions at work are useless. So it puts us to think that, yes, Luciani, it's 100% when you have kids. High five to you. Luciani, which is following me here on Instagram, right? When you have kids, you have interruptions all the time until your kid is grown up, right? You need to be really strong. Thank you, my friend, for telling me, and I hope everything is well there in the United States. I know right now it's winter there. Very good point. Thank you. And what I'm saying here is that we need to minimize the impact of our daily activities. If we don't impact, we're gonna be eaten up. We're gonna be eaten up by the distractions and by the interactions that we bring upon our lives too. And what I want to show to you in here, for the people that are on Instagram, you will not be able to see it, but you can follow me on YouTube. It's Paulini Janis English Teacher. You can see right now really the yellow file that I'm sharing in here. We have the 7 interruptions per hour, 275 distractions per workday, and 80% of the interruptions do not add any value. All this said, it's very important for you to say that when we get interrupted, it's our job to get irritated or not. But one thing for sure that I'm scrolling down in here, that is really a key strategy, and here is what you need to learn. We're not born with this wisdom all the time, but you can hire a person like me to tell you to have this wisdom and apply this methodology. We have methodologies, we have strategies, but sometimes we need to work around them and see if our blueprint plan is working or not. Look, we need to check what is a valid interruption and what is an invalid interruption. Hear me out here. Come with me. Aproxima. Get here. When you have a valid interruption, I'm not saying that only important people with higher titles should be heard. If you have an intern that just started a new job and they are inserting invoices in the system, and they have a question, it's a valid interruption. Oh yeah. Because the risk if they commit a big mistake and you didn't coach that person is much higher as if you wouldn't have coached that person. So valid interruptions can be from people that come from the lower part of the pyramid to the higher part. It doesn't have titles in it. It depends on the risk that it implies if you don't show up for that interruption. You get the message here? I hope you do. If you don't, please make me questions. That's what it is. The secret in here, and I'm going to stop sharing here and I'm back here. Valid interruptions, they can be from somebody that just started in the company because they need help. And you need to offer guidance. Today it's interesting talking about this topic about interruption of splitting, valid and invalid interruptions. That will be my next part of this live. Valid interruptions, they are interruptions that you will interrupt in that moment, but in the future you will not be interrupted anymore. However, I strongly suggest people, today I was doing a mentor class and I have a mentee. I give business English classes and I mentor people. Right now I'm mentoring 3 people, 3 Brazilian professionals, and one of them is having a hard time to lead people. So I taught him the ratio pizza that I love to say. You split on what you do, on what you teach, and what you lead, and you have to put a percentage of it. To become a good leader, you need to do 10%. You need to lead 60%, just review what they are doing, and you need to teach between 30 and 40%. Oh yeah, and it's gonna be a valid interruption if you do that. Do you get that? valid interruptions. Sometimes you will spend more time during a period of time, but then throughout the way, you're not gonna longer need it. Believe me on that. And this tip, I only give this tip on my mentoring classes. So get this free tip that I'm giving to you. So coming back here to the yellow file that I have here. So we need to know to split from our daily routines. Of course, right now that I'm no longer, I am an international auditor, and I'm not an international senior audit manager, as everybody knows. For the ones that are here joining on YouTube, I used to be an international auditor, and I climbed up the ladder the traditional way that were in the past. I was an intern and I became a senior manager of international audit, and out of my almost 25 years of corporate careers, I worked for 10 years in the United States of America, and I worked for big corporations like Johnson Controls, Schlumberger Limited, and 15 years in Brazil. So I have a solid experience on that led me to understand that interruptions, sometimes they need to be super valid, and the ones that are not valid is not that you're going to say, oh, I don't want this interruption whatsoever. That means that they can wait. Yes. If your husband calls you in the middle of your job and you are in the office deciding the budget plan for the upcoming 3 years, and your husband calls you and phones you, say, hey honey, can we talk about our vacation? You're like, can we talk later? You know, this is an invalid interruption for that moment. Okay, and sometimes you need to know to split your personality. You're going to try your best. You need to try your best. We try things, everything in life. You're not going to be aggressive and you're like, hi, now is not a time. Or you pre-schedule a timing to speak to people beforehand. When I came back from the United States to Brazil, I used to have a time lapse. Of course, my bosses, they were most of the time in Europe, where they were like 5 hours ahead of me. So by the time I used to arrive in the office, it was 7 a.m. It was noon at their time. So my mornings were dedicated to address their questions, their concerns that they had from my foreigner bosses. And then in the afternoon, I will do my local meetings. You know, it's all a question of adjusting what will be a valid interruption and what will be invalid interruptions. But interruptions will always exist. Take this data that I just put to you and keep this forever. We have 7 interruptions per day, 275 distractions in a workday, and 85% of the interruptions, they don't mean anything to us. So the point here that I want to convey, let's think about if it's really valid the interruption that you are kicking in. If the interruption that you started is really that valid, or it can wait for a later time. Because some things don't need to be resolved on that day. That makes sense to you? Some things really don't need to be resolved in one day. Some things, let the plates fall. Some things can wait for the next day. Like if you're having a heated conversation with a dominator boss, your boss will interrupt you. So nothing that you say will be valid. So it's better to be quiet sometimes. On this note, I'm gonna end this live because my lives are between like 15 and 20 minutes. I'm opening the lives of the yellow file session with this great session of today about interruptions. Feel free to share on any social media you want to, but always keep in mind, interruptions will always exist. It depends on how you line them up. Put them in a list, what can be valid and invalid. At the end of the day, it's up to you to split them. And I'm opening the sessions of the yellow file session, and the next live will be all in Portuguese with a topic on hand that will be very fruitful for the Brazilian professionals, and that will happen at 8 p.m. sharp Brazilian time in Portuguese, with a topic that would be so interested on the last Tuesday of the month. On this note, I cannot not to end this live with my two main jargons. Hello everyone, and bye now. Hello 2026 and opportunities, and bye bye for your fear. Thank you so much. See you next live. Bye now.